expecting the President and the First Lady to descend those stairs in any moment now. Of course, there's a lot of preparation that goes into these visits, including, of course, making sure the President is secured. I suspect we'll see, is it the Beast, they call it, his big vehicle arrive? I don't know how many of them, I think sometimes there's 1 and 2, but they ship all of this stuff over in preparation, don't they?
Incredible, really.
It's quite an incredible sight. We'll probably see him, I guess, escorted through the streets of London, perhaps across the motorways. If you're driving and you're listening tonight, you might catch a glimpse of it if you see a lot of lights coming to... Oh, here he is. Here he is, the President of the United States, there with First Lady Melania Trump, making his way down from Air Force One. We expect, of course, him to be greeted by a series of dignitaries. Yes, we've got the handhold there, which is lovely to see. Always lovely to see. None of that slapping away that we've been used to before.
Do you remember when he held hands with Theresa May when she first
I do remember it vividly. It feels like yesterday, doesn't it? And this is the thing, it's because it's the second time. It feels like we're almost, it's almost like Groundhog Day for us, isn't it? Because we feel like we're seeing this all over again. Yeah. There is, of course, you can now see the Royal Air Force there far clearer than I possibly could have before. He's shaking hands with some dignitaries there. I believe that's Yvette Cooper just there behind some of our military personnel, so we might see her step into focus in just a second.
Alex, your ability to commentate this like a football game is extraordinary, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
Yeah,
thanks, Will. Feel free to jump in if you have any observations.
Well, I was just thinking it's nice to have a president walk down the stairs and not be fearful that he's going to fall.
Well, that's true.
It's a pleasant change from years gone by.
Yes, Monica Crowley was the first ambassador to greet him there, of course, and of course the First Lady as well, as is expected.
Yeah, Yvette having a long chat with him.
Yeah, and good, a nice, happy exchange it seems between Yvette Cooper and Donald Trump. Smiles there between Melania and Yvette, which, given the history of the Labour Party and the things they've said about Trump,
she's a senior diplomat.
Well, we have to. Yes, we still have to talk about it. We still have to talk about it. We can't pretend it didn't happen.
This is the thing. Everyone who meets Trump says he is very charming in person. He can be absolutely lovely. It's only this kind of negativity that you get from the media and the leftist class, where this hate figure narrative comes in. One-on-one, he is meant to be an utterly charming man.
Have you ever heard him actually say anything, Alex? I mean, sorry, Will. This is, of course, he might be charming in person, but we've all listened to the things he's actually said. You know, the screeds of bile that he says on a daily basis. You know, even today, you know, sort of saying that Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman's only there because people from her part of the world came in and voted her in. Just being like routinely racist, saying that she's like a garbage person or whatever it is. He was saying about an elected member of Congress, saying that he doesn't necessarily believe in the First Amendment. He said that today as well, saying that hate crimes should be sort of prosecuted, saying that employers should fire people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder.
These are not. The President of the United States looks like he's boarding. He looks like he's about to board Marine One there, which is, of course, will take him, I suspect, to Windsor. The First Lady already on her way up there. As you can see, the President straight onto his second form of transport there. It won't take them very long to get to Windsor, and hopefully we'll be able to get you some live shots of that if we can do as well. But of course, President there, no press conferences, very much straight off the tarmac into Marine One, where we expect he will then be flown over to Windsor and will greet, of course, members of the royal family. I highly suspect he will be meeting the King this evening, but who knows what happens next. A lot of it will be behind closed doors, particularly for this evening. Lots of, again, you can just see the press pack there and all the security surrounding him. Marine One, I suspect it probably only take him 20 minutes or so to get across London. It's pretty quick journey by helicopter there, but will be, I would have thought the capital's, the air traffic control will be going haywire at the moment. Americans are interfering and there's lots of things being held back for the President's helicopter. What do you think is going to happen next?
You mentioned security there, Alex, and I wonder how security planning would have been revised following Charlie Kirk's assassination. You must imagine that they would have revised it and tightened it even further than what it already would have been. That would be my assumption.
Windsor's now threat level, the highest threat level in terms of terrorism, right? I mean,
I'm sure there's a no-fly zone near.
So as far as I understand, they don't go straight to Windsor. So I'm learning a lot about this. I really am. The President and the First Lady will depart to Winfield House. That's the ambassador's residence, which actually makes quite a lot of sense, doesn't it? That's where they'll spend their first night. And I suspect tomorrow is the day then he will greet the King with all the cameras, as you'd want it to be. You know, this is what we want. This is what it's all about, isn't it? It's get here late tonight, have a good rest, get up first thing tomorrow to get that motorcade. I suspect motorcade, perhaps, who knows, maybe it's another helicopter, over to Windsor, where the formalities will officially begin.
It would also be interesting to know who is taking on the role that Mandelson would have played, because from what I understand, he has been integral to the planning of this trip. I imagine he would have been integral in one way or another to the trip itself. Someone will have to step up and pick up that slack.
There's a deputy ambassador.
There's an interim at the moment.
There was the deputy head of mission.
So
James Roscoe. That's right. So
a lot of pressure on.
But he's not supposedly going to be there for permanently.
Yes.
So I mean, he's just a sort of filler at the moment.
Well, I suspect the Prime Minister will want to get over the first, get rid of the scandal, and actually perhaps do some vetting for the next ambassador. And that'll be a crucial part of what happens next.
Well, just the less moral story is just a point of senior diplomat to the role, because they've already been there.
Well, they did have a very good ambassador before, which everyone really liked, but of course Keir Starmer wanted to make a sort of political appointment in this position, which has massively backfired, as we all know. We'll hopefully get to talk about that at some point in time.
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Plord comes in. This is the Plord Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note-taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Plord captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Plord's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Plord order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
But you can see here, Marine One's, I think that's Marine One at least, but it is one or two of them will be taking off. Now, there's always two helicopters at least. Sometimes there are three. These are in some form, I believe, for decoy reasons, but also to carry some emergency equipment for the president as he heads towards Winfield House, the ambassador's house, where he'll spend the night there. It's going to be a jam-packed state visit for the president. And, you know, I don't like to talk about his age very often, but he is getting on. Yeah. He is getting on a little bit now. And this will be the energy this man carries. Exceptional. Exceptional for a man his age. He's clearly on the ball, isn't he? And all, you know, you get the left there, you can see him, clips of him there, you can see the president there, First Lady opposite him.
Putting a tweet away, I would imagine.
He's totally on the ball.
Tweeting away.
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke in perhaps in hand. Yeah, that's right. More of that we expect. Maybe I think they might be having some finer drinks and beverages at the palace.
Well, he doesn't drink alcohol.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
So he'll be having his Diet Coke.
Yeah, perhaps he will be. and again, a lot of that goes into this. This is why it takes so long. You need to get all the preferences right, and they set up so much. And I'm speaking to some royal commentators about this, and you would never understand how many months of preparation goes into these sorts of state visits. Hence why Keir Starmer wanted to get this done as soon as possible and gave him that famous letter where he was sat there in the Oval Office and he presented that letter from
Still
the
during
King.
Recess, though.
Can I throw?
So that's sorry.
Sorry, Ellie. Can I throw a hypothetical out to the group? And let's have two scenarios. Let's say this goes smashingly well. Trump says that Starmer's the best leader he's ever met. Yada yada yada. And on the flip side, let's say that this is a disaster. Free speech comes up. All of those hot button issues. Mandelson comes up.
Maybe even the Chagos surrender deal. By
all
the way.
of that stuff. If it's
Mandelson was the architect. You know.
Yeah. If it is a disaster, how big an impact does this have on Starmer, and will it register with the wider public?
Well, what's really interesting is that we know from Telegraph reports today, or at least what we've been hearing from Telegraph reports, is that the president has said he's going to go easy on Keir Starmer, which will be, I'm sure, a massive relief to the Prime Minister on a week where, I would say almost a month.
Okay, but he's
really
always actually. But like, the thing about Trump is that he's, you know, I think that Will was kind of alluding to this. He's actually quite obsequious with people when he meets them face to face. Apart from Zelensky, that was why it was so shocking, because he's not like that with people. When he might slag people off when he's not with them, but when he is with them, he's always saying, "Oh, you're doing a great job," and all the rest of it. So there was the chance of him going up to Starmer saying, "You know, you're a terrible leader." leader, you're doing terrible things for your country. Apart from the fact it would just be so incalculably rude, he just wouldn't do it. It's not the way he does things.
Well, on the back of that, Ellie, because we did hear some rhetoric coming out of the White House from Donald Trump and JD Vance about the state of free speech in the United Kingdom just a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about this, right? Just before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Trump was saying it doesn't look good in the UK. He doesn't like what's happening.
Nigel Farage was testifying before US Congress about the impact on free speech in America that Europe and the UK is having, particularly through the Online Safety Act, etc. So that definitely could come up. But I think regardless, even if there is no drama and Trump is, all smiles and happiness, it's still a far cry from the Oval Office visit that Trump had a couple of months ago. I think it was back in February, when it was, oh my God, Starmer's won over Trump. They're going to secure an amazing trade deal. I mean, this is a shambles, really, because Starmer is in such a weak position, as we've gone through earlier. And actually, it's not necessarily a win. It's just, OK, if we can get through this with no total embarrassment, that's a win. That's not what this should be about.
I think that it was a complete mistake to offer this state visit in the first place, given that he already had one in his first term. It was just with undue haste. Having said that, Starmer is better on the international stage than domestically. And he has the biggest wins of his premiership. The personal wins have been, for example, in his dealings with Zelensky, for example, what happened after Zelensky's disastrous visit to Washington in February, where Starmer hosted the conference in London the next day, and Starmer does have a kind of a statesman-like view in the global leadership community, which obviously doesn't enjoy domestically in this country.
Well, we should hope so, because he has spent more time in his first year in office than any other prime minister in history.
And
so I hope he's doing a good job abroad. He's spending a lot of it.
Do you remember when Reeves and Rayner's gone now, but they promised we're not going to have a private jet habit like the Tories did. Listen, I'm all for these ministers getting on, RAF planes and private jets. They absolutely should. But the hypocrisy.
No, that's not hypocrisy. He's not taking private jets in the way that Sunak was, where he could be taking trains. That's what they were complaining about before.
I agree with Jonathan that Starmer has been better on foreign diplomacy than on the domestic scene, but that's largely because domestically he's been an utter disaster. It won't be a problem when they are shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. The issues will come when the first question from the media pack turns up. And this is a real challenge, I think, for the media in this country to hold Starmer to account when Trump is here. And that's why I'm very grateful that we have Bev Turner and Ben Leo in the country, and GBNews can hold Starmer to account.
I hope that someone holds Trump to account as well, because he's done a lot of things.
He's not accountable to the British people. That's the difference.
Well, if you're a journalist and not just going to ask questions of one side.
Sure, that's fine. But the main thing is that we need to make sure that Starmer is held accountable by the media, which is not done, which has not happened.